All right. So a question we get a lot is, okay, here you are fighting these companies, but to download your stuff, I've still got to go to one of their stores. And we've worked out solutions whenever possible. We ask people to sideload, try to not give Google and Apple their cut. But I think a lasting solution both for us and hopefully eventually for other developers is in the works. And Adam is here to tell us about that.
So my name is Adam Jesionowski, and I'm excited to publicly talk about the FUTOcore software store for the first time. So why is FUTO building a software store for open source? In his talk, Aaron went over a lot of the issues that we intend to tackle. And first, there's a clear need for a curated software store. Existing app stores already have this overwhelming number of apps on them, many of which are engaged in predatory behavior towards users. Large language models promise to make the situation worse, with low-quality apps becoming way easier to create. We don't have to live in a world where users are afraid of how an app is going to track them and sell them data, or just not work at all. So we want apps on FUTOcore to be something FUTO can stand by as a delightful product. Second, we want to address the issues around open source sustainability. So quoting from a blog post by Trevor Lassen, "Until we fundamentally change how we value and support open source work, these projects will continue to be where dreams go to die, crushed under the weight of entitled users, unsustainable economics, and the inevitable burnout that follows." So this, above all, is the reason why FUTOcore exists. We want to build a world in which open source developers are able to financially sustain themselves through their work. So what's our solution? Simple. Money should be exchanged for open source software, goods, and services. And we believe that can be done in the same way as closed source software. So this can mean feature paywalls, it can mean trialware, subscriptions, and so on. Now, the technologists in the audience hearing this are thinking, wait, if you add a paywall to open source software, I can just edit that out. And yeah, you can, but there's two objections to this. So first, most users are not capable of doing that or don't want to. But second, you of all people should understand how much work coding is. You should be more inclined to support open source and spend money on apps and not less if you're capable of doing that. So Alex already talked about this a little earlier, but just to go over this, FUTO has kind of already validated that this can be a successful approach to software development. Prior to being acquired by FUTO, Image relied on donations to support nights and weekends development. After, we gave the users the opportunity to purchase Image. And we labeled it this way as a deliberate choice. By calling it a purchase, we're sending a message that this software is worth paying for, just like any other product you use or rely on. In just a month after making this announcement that people can purchase Image, the team made 5 times what they had got in donations for the lifetime of the software. So you can read a little more about this on the Beyond Donations blog post. And we're not the only ones trying to combine monetization and open source. So 2 examples, Fritzing is EDA software, and they charge users for downloading the compiled version, even though you can go and compile it yourself. Sprite is similar. They charge for a full version while allowing you to still download a trial, and that's also source available software. So this leads us to FUTOcore itself. And on the right, you can see in progress UI there. As FUTO has multiple Android apps, we're initially targeting an Android app store. Looking forward, though, we are interested in being in the desktop space, most likely Windows first, as that has the largest number of users. And additionally, FUTOcore will offer services to developers in order to help monetize their app. So we're going to be starting with 2 services, FUTO Pay and FUTO Auth. FUTO Pay is our billing and licensing library. We want to make it simple for you, the developer, to make money. And we'll talk about what methods we're planning on supporting in the next slide. FUTO Auth is our authentication provider. So we want to, again, take the work out of managing user registration and logins with OpenID Connect compliant solution. And we're going to be reactive to developers in building out more solutions to them based off of what they tell us they need. And all right, so we've been talking about making money on software, and FUTOcore is no exception. Like any other app stores, we're planning on taking a cut on purchases made through FUTO Pay, although we're going to take half of what those other major stores do. But most importantly here, FUTOcore, an app that is on FUTOcore, is not required to use our billing solution. Other app stores require all purchases, even potentially donations, to go through them so that they can make their cut. We want developers to want to use our services, not because it's that good, and not just because they have to. So we will not be requiring people on FUTOcore to actually go through these mechanisms. All right, so let's talk about some of the monetization strategies we're thinking about here. So the first is in-app purchases. This is the method we use in GrayJ and Image already. This is pretty much the standard way of monetizing an app today. Second is subscriptions, and while we understand that people have subscription fatigue, if there is a service where a user is creating some sort of continuing cost for the service, it's a reasonable thing to have a subscription for that. We will require that there be some kind of self-managed alternative to the subscription, such as managing it yourself. We will ensure that the subscription itself makes sense. It's not just a way for apps to extract too much money out of users. And finally, we'll support a binary paywall or trialware. And this is going to be the simplest method of monetizing your app. Rather than integrating our licensing library, all you have to do is build two versions, the trial version and the full version, and FUTOcore will manage all the payment and unlocking process for you. We also allow apps that request donations, although because we're operating in the for-profit space, we're not going to get involved in that nonprofit space, but you're welcome to request donations on Open Collective or whatever. So we're just getting started building out these services, and we'd like to hear from you as a user or a developer how you would like to pay or get paid. So I have some QR codes here for a user survey and a developer survey. Maybe a little easier if you just go to futocore.futo.org. You can find the links there. We'd really like to be able to make a case to open source developers that understand that, hey, this is like a lot of work, it leads to burnout, people are entitled, but they're still uncertain that they can actually make money monetizing their app. So we'd really like to hear from everyone here, anyone watching the video. Tell us how you think about this, how we can help you as a developer do this. And finally, I wanted to talk briefly about libraries. FUTOcore is focused on applications, and there's a missing link here. All applications are going to rely on this stack of open source libraries, and these developers really do deserve to get paid in relation to the number of users that they support. So one option that suggests itself is that when you purchase an app, you also purchase a license for the libraries at the same time. And so if you purchase a second app that is using that same library, ideally that doesn't get included in the price. But this raises a good many questions about implementation details like, well, what if I purchase it while it's using one library and then it updates and it's using a second? What if the library is not on FUTO Pay, but we still want to be able to actually pay these people, and so on. So at the end of the day, we first have to prove out that what FUTO is suggesting for the open source ecosystem is a way for developers to win. And once that is established in the software industry, then we can really start to collaborate on solutions for the library developers. So what it comes down to is our goal is this. Software does not have to be built by companies with hundreds of thousands of developers for audiences of billions. When this happens, people are averaged over into gray corporate slop. The future of software distribution is right-sized teams solving real problems and being rewarded accordingly. So we look forward to a future where these teams help power new communities, ones that grow in health, virtue, and wealth, instead of being mired in the extractive slog of tech oligarchies. Thank you.